Hello and welcome to South Australia's Leaders' Debate. I'm Hugh Riminton. Tonight, Mike Rann, Labor Premier of the state for the last 8 years, and his challenger, Isobel Redmond, Leader of the Liberal Party for less than 8 months, will make their case to the people. The format for this debate has been agreed upon by the leaders themselves. It starts like this. Each of the leaders will get 2 minutes to make an opening statement. Questions will then be put by our panel of journalists, the 10 Network's Daniela Retorto, State Editor with The Advertiser, Greg Kelton, and ABC Radio's Matt Abraham. The leader responding to each question has a strict time limit of 90 seconds. The other leader will have 30 seconds for right of reply. We will do everything that is humanly possible to ensure that there is equal time for the two leaders. We also hope to put at least one or two questions that have been sent in by you, the viewers. At the end, each of the leaders will have 60 seconds to make their summary. Well, let's get on with it. We've already had a coin toss. It was won by Isobel Redmond, who has opted to speak first. Ms. Redmond.
Thank you, Hugh. On the 20th of March, the people of this state will have the option to make a choice, and I want to talk today about why I believe a Redmond-led Liberal government offers the best choice for the future of South Australia. There are many issues that we need to confront as a state. Water security, the provision of health services to everyone in South Australia, the education of our children, the need for an independent commission against corruption, the need for tax reform at a fundamental level. They are just some of the cases that we have to challenge ourselves with and meet. The most fundamental of those is the water security area. We believe that there should be full federal control of the Murray-Darling Basin by a truly independent federal authority. But until we achieve that, we think it's necessary to make sure that this state achieves as much as it can for its own water security. To that end, we have a proposal whereby we will capture and make clean and safe the water that falls as stormwater on our state. That water will be made then available through our drinking supply system, 89 billion litres of water a year added into the system. That will immediately take pressure off the River Murray, and it will also mean that the water going out into the Gulf is clean and doesn't damage the environment of our coastal areas. We also plan to rebuild the Royal Adelaide Hospital where it is on its current site. By doing that, we retain the expensive state-of-the-art facilities that already exist, rebuilding new buildings around that. With that $1 billion saving, we can then concentrate on refocusing in the areas of health around the state and our suburbs. The hospitals like the Modbury and the Lyell McEwen, the hospitals like the Mount Gambier and Port Augusta, hospitals which have been underfunded at the present time. We also want to retain Glenside as a mental health facility, and we promise to retain the whole of the campus, not sell part of it off for commercial and retail development or put a film hub in the middle. There are so many things that we need to do. We want to have the chance to do that for the people of South Australia. We have a vision and a plan, and we hope to get there soon.
Ms. Redmond, thank you very much. Mike Rann, over to you.
Thank you. When we were elected, people referred to our state as the rust bucket state, but no one calls us that now because we got our confidence back, we got our pride back, we got our purpose back. The first thing we had to do was to fix up state finances, to get our AAA credit rating and then get the economy moving in a partnership with South Australians. The end result is that we've seen 111,000 more South Australians in work than there were before we were elected. That's 2 AAMI stadiums forward, about 10 times the 4 times jobs growth rate that occurred under the previous Liberal government, 10 times better. And whilst they are statistics, what that boils down to is families being able to pay their mortgages. It's about young people with career opportunities. And we've been working tirelessly to make sure that we keep the momentum going. For instance, winning $44 billion worth of defence projects. That means jobs. Getting mining going, investing in exploration, seeing a 10-fold increase in mining exploration, from going from 4 mines to 16 mines by the end of this year and many more coming. And we've also been investing in services. As we got stronger in finances, stronger in the economy, we invested better in services, virtually doubling the expenditure on health, which is a critical area to Labor. And we've also seen an extra 1,100 more doctors in our public health system, 3,700 more nurses. That's about better patient care. So what we've been doing is working with South Australians to get our state moving ahead. An investment in infrastructure. For years, people had said, what about infrastructure? Well, our investment in infrastructure is 5 times more than it was under the previous Liberal government. That's, of course, things like the electrification of the railway line, getting it all the way down to Seaford, a desal plant that gives us total water security, and duplicating the Southern Expressway.
OK, both leaders, thank you very much. Let's throw it open now to our panel. The first question from the 10 Network's Daniela Retorto.
Thanks, Mr. Rann. You kicked off the campaign by saying one of your government's biggest mistakes is failing to explain some of your big policies. But have you considered that voters understand the message perfectly well, they just don't like what you're telling them?
Well, I think the issue we talked about was the Royal Adelaide Hospital, which is on a locked site and has become a wonderful hospital that people have a great deal of affection for, because the Royal Adelaide Hospital is part of so many of our family stories. But rather than rebuild on the site and see 15 years of disruption to patients and doctors and nurses, we thought that we'd have a 21st century hospital, one that provided more theatres, a better emergency department, a new burns unit that's been supported by the head of the burns unit, but also to have more beds, to have a brand new site, a 21st century hospital. And that we think that is really important for the future of our state. And so what we've seen from the Liberals, of course, is even yesterday a huge row amongst themselves over costings. I mean, being in government means you have to do your homework. It means you have to get your costings right. And so you can't afford to come out with costings that are done from messenger press articles or done on the back of an envelope, and then have 3 leaders of the Liberal Party disagree with each other on television last night about what those costings are and what those plans are. OK, Ms Redmond.
Well, could I say that I believe the people of this state do understand the arguments about the Royal Adelaide Hospital, and it's not through any emotional attachment, but because of the very good reason that by bulldozing all that valuable infrastructure, a burns unit, which, by the way, at the end of last year was awarded accreditation from an American hospital that had never given an accreditation outside of America before. These are state-of-the-art facilities, and people understand that that $1 billion of taxpayer infrastructure should not just be bulldozed in favour of a new hospital at the other end of North Terrace for no particular reason. And by the way, there are fewer beds in their new hospital. OK, Daniela, do you have a follow-up?
Ms Redmond, you talk about holding the government to account, but you're happy to present to voters costings on the Royal Adelaide Hospital and the Southern Expressway, which by your own admission are ballpark at best. Where's the accountability in that?
Well, they are ballpark, but only because every costing of any hospital until it's in its final stage is going to be what you'd call a ballpark figure. The costings were prepared with the best known and biggest costings firm and quantity surveyors in the country, and they were passed through an architect who was working with us, and we are very confident about our costings for the Royal Adelaide Hospital. As I said, it is very clear, and even the Save the RAH Doctors Group, who independently costed their proposal, came to the same conclusion, that by building the new hospital, that costs $1 billion more, and it's primarily because those state-of-the-art facilities, the theatres, the technical side, the intensive care unit, the burns unit, bulldozing those in favour of putting a new hospital at the other end of North Terrace will cost us at least $1 billion more.
Expressway?
The Southern Expressway, look, I've got to concede that we were foolish enough to rely on the figure that was put out to the public by the Minister for Transport, and that was in July last year. The Minister for Transport said to the public through the Southern Messenger that the figure was $280 million. Now, we have to concede that we were taken by surprise when the government, who up until December had been saying that they weren't having any plans to duplicate the Southern Expressway over the forward estimates period, suddenly came up with a figure of $445 million to do just that. Our view is that this has just been a late attempt by the government to win favour with the people of the southern suburbs that they have ignored for 8 years.
Mr Rann, your reply?
Well, I think on the issue of costings really speaks for itself. The fact that the Leader of the Opposition says they had an authoritative firm do the costings. That firm has come out publicly and said it didn't do the costings for the Liberal Party. And yesterday we had the three, the leader, the deputy leader of the opposition and the health spokesman all constantly contradicting each other on the costings and the plans. I mean, you've got to be ready for government. You can't have an opposition on L plates wanting to run this state.